Hi, welcome to my next video tutorial. Today I'm going to present to you, finally on the video, how to paint this armor of my Nurgle Space Marine to make it look like this one. As you can see, in the meantime I decided to change a bit the color of this battle damage on it. On these brown elements, I decided to switch from my earlier presented brown to my copper color, so Dumbul brown mixed with pale flesh from Vallejo Game Color, because it's a more orangey saturated color and it simply looks better on the miniature. So if you want to make it look exactly the same, simply lose my mixture that I used on copper elements. I think it's looking much better. And now let's start working on the leg. So I'm going to need more colors today than usually, but basics are the same. So of course, black paint, white paint, and for the main color of the armor, stone gray and silver gray. Of course you can make the armor in two ways. You can start in classical way and paint the whole surface with just stone gray, or you can make this more saturated version that I usually make, so cover everything. Not everything, but these places that you want to be the brightest with white paint, and later go with brightest color, even more, and mix layers together. So I think that today I will go with this brightest mixture. So here is silver gray. As you can see, it's not very different from white. I mean, it is very different, but it's also very bright color. Here goes stone gray. And of course black, that is necessary always everywhere. And these are colors that I'm going to use now. And the first thing, as always in this kind of situation, is that I'm going to, maybe that. Let's start with that. Here's the white paint, and as you can see, I went with it to this kind of a consistency. Okay, so that's the first. The next thing you need to make sure is that you don't have dust on your miniature, so it's good to blow on it for a moment. And now I'm painting white here, like on the most I'm sorry, I don't remember the word, but I'm painting it in the middle of this part of the deck to leave shadow on the edges, because when you will look on it, you will have transition from dark to bright, and this is going to look much better. Then a bit here. And even though it's a Death Guard Marine, I'm going to make another reflection on the bottom of him, of his armor, because his armor is still covered with paint, so it's still going to have the same rule of reflection. So you've got like main reflection here, but the bottom will also reflect the light from the light that is coming on it from other object that it reflected from. and it's easier to just mark it like this. So I'm marking now with white paint because it's absolutely no problem to later make it darker. And here I'm painting in the middle. I'm making the same rule, so I'm painting in the middle to have shadows on the edges. And I'm supposed to have this part a bit darker than this one, but we'll go to that later. If you have some brush cleaner, you could also, before painting, take this ear pick and take a little on it and clean delicately, gently the surface, because as you can see, even though I never touched it, it's acting like it's a bit greasy. Okay, now the most important element. Again, I'm leaving, of course, black color on the edges. Now, even though I'm going to use different colors here, it's still going to be very bright in these parts. I must say it's a bit problematic with painting patina over this copper and brass elements, but we will figure out something. Okay, so I'm of course marking with white paint these top edges, because I'm considering when you paint you need to always decide where you want the source of light be, and I like it to be on the top and a bit from the front. And in this way I'm trying to mark spaces with white paint. Okay, here we have some tentacle, but the light is going to act, of course, in the same way everywhere. Of course, it reflects different on metal and on different materials, but the main rule is the same, that things on the top are the brightest. And when you paint elements like this, it's important to, as the first thing, paint things that are deeper and later things that are outside of elements, because it's easier if you would make it otherwise. First paint tentacle and later this, you will just make everything here dirty while painting this, and in other order is going to work out really good. Okay, so as you can see, I have this basic sketch, and now I'm going to, outside of the camera, just make another layer. Oh, and here we have got another part. Okay, let's cover this with white as well. Okay, so next layer of white now. Okay, so now as you can see, it's not perfect layer of white, but we really don't need it on this miniature. So now what I'm going to do is that I'm taking pure stone gray from my palette, and I'm going now to paint with this element. I'm going to make it darker later anyway. This one here. And this one here. And I will need to apply at least 2 layers. As you can see, this detail here is a bit harder to paint. It's not easy to work here with a brush. Okay, but it looks somehow pretty okay. Okay, so this detail here as well. But now I'm getting to this, that's supposed to be the brightest. So now I'm taking pure silver gray. And I apply it here. Okay, and a bit here. As you can see, these elements will definitely need more layers. But now another thing. Okay, so this is stone gray, and I'm going to make basically dark gray from it. I think that we could use black gray as well, and it's going to be the darkest color that I'm going to use on the armor, at least that's what I think at this point. Where to apply it? Of course, there where I left the miniature black. Okay. as you can see, I'm leaving this bright area as the biggest one on the miniature, because usually this works in this way, that the reflection is the biggest one and transition in shadows is much smaller. But here I did make this a bit too big, because it's the same shape, so we have to have the same shape also here when it's going to painting. Okay, and I'm going to here leave a small stripe of black, because I think that on this part of the miniature I will make a really strong contrast and it's going to look good. Okay, I will reduce now this bright line a bit. And here I will have black color once again. Okay. First steps in making sketch are done now. This finally starts to have some shape. Okay, and even though it's going to be very bright, okay, let's paint this part first in darker color. And even though it's supposed to be very bright, we need to create contrast here as well, because thanks to that it's going to be more visible. I'm going to paint this black line fully with my black gray mixture. Okay, and this black gray mixture is supposed to go in here as well. Okay. And okay. Oh, there's one little space left, and it's here. Okay. In the meantime, the layers of my paints dried out, so once again I'm making under layers. So first silver gray, Again, silver gray. And here. Now stone gray, pure stone gray, of course, I mean. Okay, as you can see, it's much easier to cover everything with stone gray, but it's no surprise there as it's darker color. Okay. Okay, and now I can make a layer with stone gray on other places. Okay, so the first layer comes here, goes here. Another, of course, on the other edge. And there is no surprise that more here. Okay, of course, now I want to make another layer to make sure that it's looking good. Because one is always not enough. Okay, so that's the first layers. Once again, I have to say, now it's starting to have a real shape. Now another layer of color. As you can see, here is the darkest mixture that I already created. So here I'm going to make a new one that is brighter. It's hard to, the main problem with this all of this mixing is that to create a tone that is between tones. You know, it's good to have like step by step these colors being brighter and brighter and not like super dark and bright. It's not easy to find the perfect mixtures, so it's important to experiment a lot. Such a small details. There's always some problem with painting them. For some reason I totally forgot about this detail right here, and it needs the same reflections. Too bad, but I will come back for it. Well, it's not easy to get with a brush to this area. And now this here. Here on the foot is the rules are of course the same. They're only more problematic because I have smaller space for layers. But this will be okay. And remember that it doesn't have to in this situation to be super smooth, because I will paint later battle damage on the armor. Sorry. Okay, and the last layer on this edge. So I can say that this is the final sketch. As you can see, it already looks cool. Kinda pixel art for me, especially on this part of the leg. I like it a lot. And now we will go into blending layers together. For that, I'm going to use the same mixtures that I already used. And I will start with this color that I was just using, so this second darkest mixture. And I'm going to paint with just the tip of my brush. Okay, I hope you can see everything. And I'm making very delicate touches on the surface. I'm barely touching it. Thanks to that, I'm leaving very small amount of paint that are really weak in covering anything. And thanks to that, when I make a lot of them, I make smooth transition. But I have to use for it just the tip of the brush. I'm going from brighter layer to darker. Once again, remember that this is Plug Marine, so Death Guard Marine, whatever. And this means that this doesn't have to be super smooth. We will have battle damage and everything will look better with it. So it's basically more fun with this type of marines, because you don't have to focus so much. Of course, I'm talking from my perspective where I have some kind of fixation on making things smooth and nice transitions. That's why my painting is always taking forever. I'm fixing every mistake over and over again, even these that are totally not visible. And while I'm here, I'm going to make my darkest mixture. So basically black paint, a bit of stone gray, and retarded medium. I'm going to use here. Can you see this transparent? Okay, focus on the brush, dude. Okay, so you must trust me that I have a very small transparent drop on the tip of my brush. Sorry, I did what I could, but the camera has different opinion on what to focus on. Okay, so retarded just makes that, of course, that the paint will be getting dry a bit longer, and it makes the consistency of the paint a bit more similar to oil paints. Okay, so let's see how it works. I'm making the same thing, but now I'm going from between black and the layer. Well, it's not perfect, but it's not going to be visible. I have more work with other. Okay, now I have, I guess, better light. Okay, so I'm making the same thing, but instead of going from bright to dark, I'm going from dark to bright, because I have to finally blend brighter layers with dark base color. As you can see, it's not perfectly blended, but first I have a bad view here. I don't see much, and the other thing is that this leg is going to be hidden, so as you can see now you couldn't see, I'm sorry. I went faster here, so I'm going now to my earlier darkest mixture that I called many times black gray. Okay, and I'm going to make the same rule that I earlier used. So I'm painting from brighter on darker. In order to fix this transition a bit. Okay, now this brightest dark mixture. Okay, I call it fixed. Now better visible areas. So I think that now I will start with this darkest mixture that I just created, that is almost black. I think that this order is going to be way better. So sometimes it's hard to explain, so I hope that you can just see that I'm working with like basically side of the tip of my brush. I will try to enlarge for you. Okay, I guess it's still good visible. Well visible. Okay, so this is side of the tip of my brush. I know that what you can see now is that my transitions are rather rough, but remember about that, this is very big zoom on the details, and from my perspective I cannot see as much as you can see on the video. It's basically like you would take your, I don't know, some printing on your t-shirt and look at it under a microscope. It will not look great. I just feel always pretty bad about that, what I present to you on the videos, because it looks much worse than in reality because of this big enlarge of the picture. Okay, so now as you can see, I'm working with the tip of my brush. I would love to work again with just the side of it, but I don't have a comfortable grid on the miniature, so I have to keep it like this. I also want you to see this well, so I have to work in this way. But it's not bad because I'm moving my wrist in a way with the brush, so it's easy to make straight lines, and it's also good. So no problem after all. Okay, I like the effect. So I'm taking once again my earlier darkest mixture that I referred earlier as black gray, and I added a tiny amount of retarder to it just to change its consistency a bit. And now I can finally work with painting a brighter mixture on darker. Once again, I'm trying to make very delicate, gentle touches and leave a very small amount of paint. And I think that I succeeded in here. Oh, again, I can use the side of my brush. Okay, that's okay. Oh, I totally forgot about this element below. Unfortunately, everything has to be blended to make it look good. Of course, I'm working now with the darkest mixture. Okay. Back to this second darkest. Okay, nice. I think that I just forgot once again about another detail. I like to finish one detail after another to have something like really finished. On my PDF tutorials, I'm presenting you how to paint step by step using some colors, but in reality I prefer much more to focus just on one element, finish it, then start working on another. It's not effective when it comes to time of painting, but it gives me more satisfaction because I really see that I finished something. Okay, so now I'm taking this brightest mixture of black gray, of stone gray and black. And when I'm here, I'll start from here. As you can see, it's total chaos, and I skipped here. Okay, let's start from the bottom. I really recommend adding a tiny amount of retarder to your paint when you're at this step of blending layers together. It's hard to exactly explain why it's working better, but like I said, because it's getting more oily and gives you a bit more time, for some reason working on layers is taking a small amount of time, and just a moment more to create these transitions. But on the other hand, they somehow are easier at the same moment to create, and they work better. Oopsie, sorry. In case if you are new here, of course I always say when I change the paint. So if you are wondering, that I'm always using the same paint until I say that I change it for another color. So of course I'm making the same step all over the miniature now with the same paint, which is the brightest mixture of stone gray and black. Everything here will be broken from this battle damage, so I guess I should just go to the next detail. Was I working on it already? I guess I did. Okay, so what's on the foot now? So at this moment I still have the brightest of mixtures of stone gray and black. Okay, we have small problem with focus of the camera. I hope that in this position it's going to work better. Okay, that was really quick. That's cool for me. So now just pure stone gray. Once again, I'm adding a small amount of retarder to it. The consistency just got oily. And let's start working on the details on the back. The brighter color the weaker it is in covering. So you can work in more chaotic way when it comes to, for example, stone gray, and go a bit over earlier painted layers. Now I can finally fix this area here, and now you can see well the consistency that I have here with retarder. As you can see, it's more transparent. Okay. Okay. That was a bit hard because my position of my brush was not comfy. Okay. I hope that this looks as smooth as it looks on the reality, in reality. Okay. Still on stone gray. Now it's the best positions because I'm using side of the tip of the brush, and it's working smooth, and it's working quick, and it's working great. That's the best position you can have, and you can use it more often because you probably are not recording any videos while painting. Magic is happening when you use just the side of the tip of the brush. Whew. Next one is ready. Now it's going to be, I think it's going to be a bit harder here, but we will see. As you can see, here it really is less easy. And because of that, I think I need to create another color for transitions here. Because it's not exactly what I wanted. So let's make another color. So this is pure stone gray, and I will add just the tiniest amount of black, as you can see, to create this color. A bit more of stone gray, a bit more, a bit more. It's not easy. I think I will stick with this tone. Okay, so as you can see, it's just tiny bit darker, and I think that I have to start with this. Okay, so I already start to blend. Okay, this mixture will be useful, as you can see, on other places as well. And now you can see why it's problematic, this detail here, because I cannot make full movement with my brush. That's why it's so important to work on him first and on the tentacles in the end. Okay, that's good. So now I can finally take the stone gray, and now the mixing will be much easier. And it is much easier. Okay, so I guess it's time now for the stone gray in here, in deepest details. As you can see, now I'm painting with dots. Thanks to that, I'm making a structure on the paint, but it's also much easier on many details to work like this. To be honest, I will later make broken paint here, so this will not be important anyway, but I like to just keep things in some order on the beginning. Okay, so this is painted, this is painted. It looks like this is not. I don't know. It looks pretty decent though. Okay, so it's time for the foot. Still stone gray. And now this super bright mixture of stone gray and black that I just created, I think it's going to be very useful on the foot. Okay, now I quickly switch to stone gray. Okay, so some other step is finished. Now let's go to the brightest mixtures. Okay, so what I want to create now is to mix 50% of silver gray with 50% of stone gray. And now I have something like this. Now a bit of retarder. Okay, and let's get back to work. Okay. So I'm taking this mixture and I will start working with food. And as you can see, now we are finally getting into some real smooth, nice transition between colors. Okay, I will keep it like this. As you can see, it looks pretty cool now. Let's go to next details that need to be brighter. So this here, I'm going to use this as the final color for them because they are, this one I will keep brighter. I think it will look good. Actually, this one I will make a bit darker. So I'm painting just on the edges of the brightest area. in order to preserve it for later. And it's basically blended. As you can see, these final blends are going pretty easy. Okay, a bit more here. Okay, that's enough for that. Okay, this looks good too. Now this is a really important element. Okay. Okay, it's blended. Wow, that was cool. I think so. Okay, now here. As you can see, I'm painting with this new mixture also over the brightest layer to make it a bit darker on the edges, and the layer that it is on the edges of it a bit brighter. I'm always working this way. It looks good and it works good for the transitions. Okay, and now I'm taking this mixture and I will try to make this part here a bit brighter, because pure stone gray is not enough. It's supposed to be darker, but it's going to be, but and it's going to be, but in a bit different way, because now I'm painting with this brighter mixture on the darker layer, so it's going to be look different. So I'm going to act now like I'm making transition between colors, but I'm just painting over the middle of it. Okay, so this is how it looks like now. I will make now black lining behind the scenes, let's say, to save you some time of nothing interesting. Okay, so as you can see, everything looks much better after I finished black lining. It got this cartoonish look, and now it's time for the battle damage. For that I'm going to use Dumble Brown, Pale Flesh from Game Color, and of course black paint. So these three are all I need. So first, Dumble Brown. I will even make 3 blobs with it. Now Pale Flesh. And more black paint somewhere else. Okay, so now I'm mixing with black paint to achieve, as you can see, very dark brown mixture. Okay. And this mixture I'm going to use now for painting battle damage. And it's not easy to create nice battle damage because you want to paint some chaotic scratches, and our mind is not working in a very chaotic way, so it tries to create patterns. That's why it is a bit harder than it looks like. Okay, but I believe that this part looks pretty decent. I like to paint scratches on edges as well. And I like to paint straight stripes like this. Well, it's not exactly straight, but it looks okay too. And it's not exactly straight, there's the different element I like to make, or something like this on the bottom of the stripe. Okay, it looks better now. Another stripe here, and I like to paint things like this cracked paint in here, and I will keep it. I like the way elements like this look like. Okay, I think it's looking good, but I think I'm supposed to make more cracks in this direction. Okay, I think it's good as well. Okay, now I'm happy with it. Now I try to act really chaotic in here because I really don't know how to make it nice. So I'm trying like let my hand get loose and create something on its own. It's not easy to explain how it's exactly happening. I think I need more battle damage in this area. Okay, I think this is good because now I have something in common from this side to this side. It was not making sense because why here I had a lot of battle damage and here no. But now it works better. Now let's go here, and here I have two details, two holes close to each other. So here I need to make some real chaos. For that I'm trying to keep my tip of the brush a bit loose, or try to keep it in a really uncomfortable position, then you will not be capable of making any planned moves. So it will act in a really chaotic way, and thanks to that, this will create more realistic battle damage. Well, I'm not super happy about this detail, but it was really uncomfortable work, so let's go somewhere else. Here the same rule. I'm trying to keep my hand loose. But too much battle damage is also not good. So here I had two really big holes, so I had to make a lot of damage in here. But I would like to have my armor that is underneath it also visible. So I think I will save some other areas. Right here I will make just small scratches here. But to have a really working composition, I need to have, of course, some damage here as well. But just not too much. I'm not super happy with this composition, but sometimes important thing is to just let it go and work on something else. Okay. And here I have another holes. I think I will try to be easier with them here. Because all of this looks like it's supposed to be or was without paint. Just it looks like I should have here so many. I should have pure metal underneath the paint, because after creating such big holes, almost all paint should be removed from it. Okay, another thing I like to create is to make this kind of a scratch. Look, I'm using just the tip of my brush. And I'm painting something like this. This looks realistic and I really like this. So I recommend painting things like that. Of course I need more here. I should also this screws paint with this color because they're supposed to be rusty. At least that's how I want them to be. It's not easy to don't paint too much battle damage, but I'm trying my best. Of course, this kind of edges supposed to be ruined. Okay, so this stage is behind us. Now it's time to make it brighter. The first thing I will make now is that I will take silver gray. Okay, silver gray, and I will mix it with white paint. To make it brighter, of course. And now I will mark edges under scratches to make them more visible. On this stage of painting, you can fix some elements and you can ruin other. So be careful. Yep, it's a very delicate work right now. Oh, as you can see, this painting these edges is taking some time, but this simply looks better after it's done like this. As you can see, I have no problems with the tip of my brush. I really need to buy a new one. Without a good tip, you can't do much. Okay, I think that will be enough for that. Of course, I probably forgot to say about some details, but it's time to skip to painting rusty elements. Okay, so now I'm just taking pure Dumble brown. Now it's finally going to go faster. Oh, sorry, bad positioning. Okay, and I paint in the middle of these areas, of these dark areas. Okay, and in holes like this, I'm trying to once again be a bit more chaotic. Don't make a nice rounded hole. As you can see, when I have not much space, I then leave it's just dark brown, like I started on the beginning. Okay. Now it finally goes quicker. Okay, so I guess that would be it for Dumble Brown. Now let's go for the brighter color. Okay, so now I'm taking Dumble Brown and like 50-50, and I'm making like 50-50 mixture with how it's called now, Pale Flash, but no, I add more. Now it's hard to say what percentages, but I would say like 70% Pale Flash to 30% of Dumble Brown. And that's the mixture I'm going to use now. once again, it's good to have a good tip of the brush for that. Okay, it's too bright on the other hand. Haha, I thought it's good. Some more. So maybe let's stick to this 50-50%. As you can see, I keep it brighter here, where the source of light is. Okay. And sometimes, like here, I paint just the edge. Okay, so now the final touches. with the brightest mixture. Now, as you can see, I'm going to make something brighter. And this is going to be my brightest mixture, just for edges. Like in here. Just in the brightest places. Okay. And now I will present to you the last thing, which will be rusty strikes from these elements, and I will paint this on black because I didn't finish it, and it will look better on the pictures on the end. Okay, so now it's time for creating rusty strikes. For that, I'm using this thing, Rusty Strikes from AK Interactive. This is some example of what we can achieve with it. And I just shake well. And for applying, I'm using this thing. I guess it's called color brush, color shaper or clay shaper. It depends on I don't know what. I guess on the size. Okay. You can use also some old brush that you're not using, but just never use your good brush because it's going to destroy it. So I take a little on it, on the edge of my, on the tip of my rubber brush, let's say, and I try to apply it around this element, which is supposed to be rusty, and it's not easy because it's drying really quick. It dries quickly, and I want this to be below it, so it really is not easy. I guess it will have to be everywhere around it. You can put it basically anywhere. I must say that I really love it, and I prefer using it instead of using paints. While I could use paints, it has this nice orangey color that I don't always, I'm not always capable of achieving. As you can see, I need to apply more layers, and well, why not? Let's apply something here, although I should have a patina here. Let's make some rusty stripes as well, and when I put it like this, as you can see, I created a really rusty stripe, and it looks awesome in my opinion. But it's also crooked, so maybe not so awesome. But when I started making it, I need to finish it as well. And the best thing is when I can make these tiny dots with it, then it looks really realistic. Okay. I feel that there is too much of it right now in this area, but I don't know how to fix it. Okay, I removed it with another one. Whoa, it's good to have two tools like this one. Okay, maybe a little bit here to make it more brown. Okay, so that would be it. I think I will make a second part of the video, and on the second part I will finally present to you how to paint these tentacles and metal elements. So if you would like to see the second part, just stay tuned. It will appear here pretty soon. And I think that in the upcoming month I will have more materials for you than I had now. Okay, so see, I hope you enjoyed this video and you will be able to reproduce what I created here. Okay, so stay tuned and see you next time.